Ladies and gentlemen, order in the court. Today's proceedings finds the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down? Bosses refusing to pay out? Hit and run leave you stunned? Drug lords in your future? Well, maybe not, because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll get you the defense you deserve, but only if you say the words.
Oh no, I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh wait, I know.
Better
Better
Call
Call
Saul.
Saul. So without further ado, let's begin judging Saul. Court is now in session.
You will atone.
All right, Dragon, this is a big one. Season 5, the penultimate episode of the penultimate season. Bad Choice Road. Just in love with the title. In love with a lot of things about this episode after the rewatch. Much like a lot of this season and a lot of this show in general, this episode is very, it's more slow paced than I thought it would be going into it. But, having said that, it's just yet another expertly crafted character study like the show tends to thrive on. So, Dragon, no time to waste. Let's get to the credits on this baby.
All right, credits are rather simple because this is a directed by and written by special. It's a twofer, folks. It's by the incomparable Tom Schnauz. The Schnauz.
Schnauz.
Good old Schnauz, man. We love Schnauz. Schnauz is some of the great work on Better Call Saul. Oh my goodness. Let me give you a little bona fide on Tom Schnauz. Aside from being, as Jonathan Banks coined, the Little Prince.
The Little Prince.
That's always going to be his main moniker, the Little Prince. Which, by the way, they actually gave the origin. They kind of gave the proper origin to the Little Prince on the Insider podcast because Schnauz was on. And they remarked about his response to the Little Prince nod in sex.
Nice.
Where basically it was at he had like it was over this little whom battle where basically Jonathan Banks wanted to say whom as Mike, where Tom Schnauz, the writer, said no, I want it to be who. Like Mike wouldn't say whom, and he's always called him the Little Prince from that point forward because he was ticked off about who versus whom. Anyway, so Tom Schnauz, he is both. Let's see, so he this season he wrote Wexler v. Goodman. And the other episodes that he has kind of pulled double duty on, much like this episode, Expenses, one of my all-time favorites from Better Call Saul. I love Expenses. Oh my God, one of the highlights. In episode 7. And Switch from season 2. And just to give you a taste of what he can do pulling double duty on episode 9, Tom Schnauz did Pimento.
Oh yeah. Big one.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so let's get right into it.
It's a long one, folks. Buckle up.
So we start with a split screen montage of the song Something Stupid being played over Jimmy and Kim, very distant from each other. Oh, wait a minute, Dragon. That sounds familiar.
That it does. One of the other all-time favorites would be, again, folks, there's always a tradition of episodes 7 and 9 being real big standouts in Better Call Saul. And oddly enough, sometimes they mirror each other. In the case of episode 7 from last season being Something Stupid, it was really good. Had an opening eerily similar, and they loved it so much they thought, you know what, Tom Schnauz just kind of looked at that one and said, let's bring that back. Let's like Jimmy and Kim were as separated as they've ever been before. And what was another time they've been separated as they were before? Something Stupid. So if we took that and we kind of had the Lola March thing, but instead we just kind of like more of a rhythmic humming of the melody of Something Stupid. Mm-hmm. So again, further apart than they've ever been, and we just kind of check.
I was kind of geeking out just because I know that the last episode is called Something Unforgivable.
Oh yeah,
so I was like, oh my god, they're bringing the song back.
It's such a great subversion that I was expecting if they were going to do anything with Something Stupid. I mean, I wasn't calling this at all, but I'm just saying if they were going to do a Something Stupid, callback, you'd imagine being the last one.
Right.
So they kind of subvert that. You were expecting it then? Wrong. Now. So again, we have kind of our desert-bound adventurers just kind of walking back on one side of the screen. Fun fact: they reversed the size of the screen because last time they did Something Stupid with the split screen. Again, kind of pulling a full-on Brian De Palma, if you will. A lot of split screen love. On the last time, it was Jimmy on the right side, Kim on the left, and now we've reversed it. So Jimmy is kind of walking through the desert here, and And every leg of the journey, he's checking for the signal, lugging the bags, and of course his bottle of electrolytes, let's call it.
God.
So Kim, meanwhile, she's worrying her little head off. She's waiting by the phone. I love this. Like, he's calling and she's waiting by the phone. I love it. She's also smoking inside. It's a little touch, but again, like, she's not doing the outside thing on the balcony or like just the single like she had done so many times before. She's doing it inside. It's the little change that says everything, isn't it?
And then, of course, the main difference here being that emotionally, they're probably more together than they've ever been, even though physically they're very apart from one another. Whereas the last time we did this montage, it was literally the exact opposite of that scenario.
Exactly. Oh man, I love it so much. That's like they had me so much in this opening. It's like, how can this show impress me more than the Emmy episode we got last episode? Well,
Schnauz just like, hold my beer, Vince.
Pretty much. Oh, God bless the Schnauz, man. God bless the Schnauz. All right, so okay, so I love this. I love the visual dichotomy here. It's so well composed. Like on one side, we have our guys kind of making their way back, and we see the rattlesnake, and it's symbol of danger, and just kind of like the deserts of New Mexico. And on the flip side, we have Kim Wexler, through the fish tank. We make a lot of use of the fish tank, and I love it. And we have kind of the fish, of course, a representation of Jimmy and kind of the criminal life and the vet and everything. Basically, the symbol of Jimmy. It's kind of Jimmy kind of in his transformative phase, kind of like in the foreground there. The fish versus the rattlesnake.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So Kim, this is a great one here. So kind of gross, but still really good. So Kim's getting a glass of water while Jimmy is again getting some electrolytes with his bottle, his Davison Maine bottle.
Oh God.
So then, as they're venturing their way through, finally, how's the sequence going to end? Jimmy gets a beep. You hear like a beep in the phone. He's got a signal now. The man's got a signal, which leads to the big call. Kim gets the really great crossover interaction. Gets the call. Kim answers, bated breath. Take him through it. What happens?
Well, just really quick, I want to acknowledge I love the pathetic, like, tiny glimmer of a smile he gives to his traveling companion as he gets the signal. He's like, I did it. I did it. Look.
He drops to his knees. I love how he drops to his knees. He's very Lawrence of Arabia. Again, I love how in one episode we've gotten kind of the Albuquerque versus version of Lawrence of Arabia and Midnight Run all in one episode. I dig it.
All right, so she answers the phone. She's like, Jimmy, brief pause. Jimmy says, yes, yeah, it's me. I'm okay. And then as soon as she hears his voice, she just starts breaking down. And they're both just emotionally spent, but very, very relieved to hear each other and to know that each other's okay. And cut.
Just phenomenal cold open again. Lawrence of Arabia with a phone, folks. That's what I'm going to tell you. But there was someone really made an awesome pull way back in the first season. There's so many great things when you rewatch these episodes you realize, and there's actually a nod to Marco within last episode, within the whole Strand in the Desert thing, where Marco actually made a Lawrence of Arabia joke, saying living in Albuquerque, basically living in New Mexico, living in the desert, you probably look like Lawrence of Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. Seasons later, it's all relative, folks. Want to get that in a little Marco love. Anyway, so again, just the mundane scale, but that's what it is, though. It's like this whole opening, such a mundane scale with the strength of an epic within the love story between these two. It's just a man calling a woman in the desert. It's really all it is, in the Mexican desert. Not like the Grand Sand Dunes, but just Mexican desert. But again, it feels like the ending to an epic. Like, she knows he's okay, and I'm there.
Can we just acknowledge the fact that Kim Wexler is just... I mean, I know that we've known this since season 1, but I feel like this episode just has to cement it in goddamn granite marble.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Wexler is the anti-Skylar White.
She is. There's a moment here. Well, I was going to wait till we get to the moment, but you know exactly the moment I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm just like, because all throughout, the great thing about this episode is all throughout last episode, I was like, oh God, there's no way that Kim's going to be able to forgive Jimmy. This is putting her through too much. She didn't want him to go, and now he's in this super precarious situation. He's going to come back an emotional wreck. And we'll see how things play out.
Literally takes the moment Skylar broke down for me in the show, and then it kind of does the opposite of it here. Literally the moment where it's like, oh man, I hate it. Anyway, so getting back to things here, let's see. So One ride to a gas station later, like one presumably got a ride. Presumably got a ride to said gas station. We see Mike and Jimmy, very Pulp Fiction style. Speaking of which, oh my goodness, Mike!
A wild Mike appeared, Dragon. We love Mike.
That we do. We love Mike.
I love how sing-song that was, Dragon. That we do.
You know what? You know, I'm always referencing with it. Whenever I do that, you know.
Oh God, what?
There's this really it's from the Halloween special for Garfield.
Oh God,
that we covered. Remember where like Binky the Clown's on TV and he's talking about like kids, you like candy, and then basically Gar's like that we do.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. Sure.
Always love the delivery. So I'm always going
for
it. Anyway. Okay, point being, we love Mike, folks. Not only just the actor Jonathan Banks, because we adore him so much. We love what he brought to life, and the character just keeps on giving in that Mike Ehrmantraut. My goodness, like if you kind of gleam it here, folks, little here you can see him in kind of their Pulp Fiction attire, where of course, after being covered in desert and kind of like in his old tactical gear and everything, and just sand covered, and also just again just blood soaked in Jimmy's case, they have to change out of something. And they're stopping at a truck stop and essentially is buying off the rack, as it were, buying very touristy off the rack. Puts him in some really funny attire. I love that Jimmy is, is in the American flag, very much kind of like Saul Goodman, always being linked to the American flag with his dads. Definitely. And Mike is wearing this great cheesy shirt. I mean, when everyone thinks New Mexico, I mean, go even to the Marvel movies, folks. When Phil Coulson went to New Mexico, Land of Enchantment. It's all about the Land of Enchantment, and I love that we see Mike in this great shirt. Tiki, this is where we get into here with the love. Of course, folks, as you can kind of tell, we'd love to commemorate our love of Mike. In this case, kind of like an advent calendar, because Better Call Saul this season started in February, and Valentine's Day was on our minds. A little bit I Love Lucy, a little bit advent calendar chocolate. Put them together. You get this.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Anyway, my
it's
point.
It's sweet, but it always goes bad.
So much love for Jonathan Banks, especially when you have these great opposing forces, like the relationship he has with Tom Schnauz. Of course, always the whole Little Prince runner, but also it's like they always lovingly gripe about each other, lovingly curmudgeonly about each other. He's always insulting Jonathan Banks. It's always like, do you want just being just the wonderful wise guy that he is? Funny because they got him from a show called Wise Guys. Anyway, sorry, what I'm getting at here is that during the production of this, everyone there's a whole bunch of photos you could find online of the whole crew wearing the same shirt that Mike's wearing, and like doing like a screen test where Jonathan Banks is so just like I don't think he's like really angry at the outfit or anything. He's just like flipping off the camera when they're taking pictures of him in the Land of Enchantment. Sure, just Jonathan Banks being wonderfully kind of crusty with people, and that's what I'm saying. It's him being playful and everything.
You know what it reminds me of, Dragon? It reminds me of a photo I saw on Twitter of Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson like playfully flipping off the camera after the Academy Award nominations were announced.
Yeah, it's something like that.
You Academy.
It's kind of like a loving thing. Jonathan Banks was like, "All right, you put me in like the Pulp Fiction tourist getup. I get it. Yeah, you're doing everything. just a lot of fun. I'm sure Jonathan Banks got a kick out of it too, because it's so funny just seeing these two characters just kind of paired together like this. Anyway. So, so point being, they're at like a truck stop gas station. Some off the rack clothes. There's also a little box cutter-esque when Jesse and Walt had the bike. Essentially, Mike presumably went to Walmart or something and bought him some off the rack Kenny Rogers shirts.
Oh yeah, it definitely is the Kenny Rogers shirts look for sure.
Yeah. So again, the two men are hydrating. They're putting some ice to their heads. They're drinking, buying a bunch of energy drinks, so on and so forth. Let's see. So Tyrus and Victor, they show up. They show up and basically we're getting a little expo in the cars. They're being taken from point A to point B and dropping Jimmy off at the bail bonds place. We're going to see. We see they mention that they're on cleanup duty for the shootout and everything, and basically getting rid of the cars and everything, trying to get rid of any evidence of a struggle, which is going to take time. Important factor there, folks. It's going to take time.
Yeah, clearly not enough, not speedy enough of a process, Dragon.
And well, again, there's three vehicles plus some of them really far out. They got to look for through ravines. They got to find him. They can't even find the last guy because they're in the middle of nowhere. They mentioned that too. The one that's the most damage, like this, the car's flipped over like God knows how many times. Let's see. So Jimmy in the car, he can't. He's not even allowed to rest because his Mike has to
I
coach
felt
him.
so bad in that moment. I was just oh God, he can't even rest his eyes for 10 minutes before he goes to the courthouse.
Absolutely. So Jimmy, of course,
You
he's
gotta
like,
work on your story.
work on the cover-up story, which is going to be very key for the climax of our story.
Oh, I love how this story thing just comes back around very pivotally in the last. Yeah, you're right.
Absolutely. All right. So Jimmy.
All right, so Jimmy goes up to the window. Jorge de Guzman, he says. The clerk types in the name. Very surprised at the $7 million, but Jimmy very insistently brings both briefcases up, and account commences, Dragon. Account that results in 100,000 that's left over for Jimmy, but not before Jimmy raises the suspicions of the legal crew on the defendant side of things, or on the plaintiff side of things, I should
By the way,
say.
not briefcases. If it were briefcases, Jimmy would not be as exhausted as easily. These two
Duffel
giant
bags.
duffel bags.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I love the clerk. I love the way that reaction plays out too. Just the whole she looks at the screen, 7 million. Just drops him there. It's the in between shots, and then the attracts attention of DA Khalil, I believe her name is, and she's okay now. If there are any red flags already set off by okay, just typical murder trial. Like okay, $7 million, bail him out. Like who is your client? And of course, again, repetition being the theme of the episode here. Jorge de Guzman. Again, him saying the same information twice, and again, it's going to get more tense. Believe me, folks.
Yeah.
So now he's drawn the attention to the DA's office, and again, the setup for Act 3. I love him just interjecting. I'm fine. Just like they don't even care. It's like, hey, I'm fine. So of course he collects his $100,000, basically 100,000 left over, which of course is his payment. Which again,
I like that was a really practical way to pay him without having to have any sort of other interaction with the cousins or anything.
Yeah, sure. Because I got to be honest, I kind of forgot about it. I guess for a moment I wonder, I could maybe Lalo had the 100,000 on hand, but it made sense. Yeah, if they're going to get all that money, might as well just get out the 100,000 as well. And again, if there any buffer again for him losing any money, had up to at least 100,000 to cover any lost money.
Yeah. And by the way, my whole theory of oh no, he lost $5,000, and now Lalo's going to go after him. Yeah, that just goes to prove that we don't know what we're talking about most of the time.
I kept telling you and telling you if he went into the millions, then he'd be in trouble. But if he were just in the thousands, he'd be covered at least to 100,000.
I know.
All right. So Lalo is then released on bail, and then Lalo looks at Jimmy. Oh, you must have a story again. Foreshadow. But I love how funny he is here. This is the wonderful thing about Tony Dalton. He earned an Emmy this episode. He really did, man. The Emmys are filled with
Tony Dalton. I it's interesting because this show has always kind of been filled with very morally gray characters. Chuck McGill probably being chief among them. Where the question through the first half of the show was how do you feel about Chuck McGill on a moral standpoint? It was kind of a Rorschach test. But then, Dragon, along comes Lalo, and Lalo is such a fun freaking villain, man. I love it. It's there's no moral complexity here. This is a bad dude who's having a lot of fun being bad.
With a lot of charisma. That's the thing. That's the thing that separates him. He's not terrifying incarnate like Tuco Salamanca. He's not like a mad dog. He's like the Scooby-Doo of the mad dogs. So you can't help but look at this. Can't help but look at this guy.
Somehow that makes him even more scary, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Somehow. I don't understand the science behind that, but it works.
All right, so let's see. So Lalo, basically, Jimmy gives Lalo the cover story. There was car trouble, essentially 6 miles from the pickup spot after he met the cousins. He avoided hitchhiking on the road because he didn't just take the road back, which would have been a lot shorter. He avoided hitchhiking, so for the risk of the $7 million, complicating things further. And there's no cell reception, hence said problems and said delay. And he got lost in the desert for a night. So again, all very valuable. And again, I buy that he buys. I think he legitimately buys that initially, don't you?
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. I don't really know what sparked the suspicion about it. I mean, we'll get there when we get there, but I guess it's just kind of like a sudden rumination that he had.
Right. Well, to be fair, I'm convinced. I think he just takes it at face value. But there's maybe a nod here that maybe like he says, "Oh, you must have a story," and then car trouble. Like, because again, like a little hesitation with car trouble, maybe. But I don't know. Maybe that was it. We'll see. I think I forget if there's a moment later on we'll cover it. I guess. All right.
Uh-huh. So, anyways, Lalo is very much ensuring happy-go-lucky, like, don't worry, man, our work's not done. Friend of the cartel, am I right?
Yep, you made the right call. You did good. That's what I love about Tony Dalton. He's just so incredible here. He's like the bad uncle almost. He's just giving him work. It's like, oh no,
He's like Miguel Prada times 10.
Yeah. Oh man, you're right. Yeah, it is very much like Miguel Prado. Yeah.
But you gotta come in and have a beer, I say.
Oh god, I still love all the golfing gags in Dexter, but we don't have time to go on that anyway.
All right.
Anyway, so Jimmy tells Lalo again.
Did someone say golfing?
Oh god, now you make it. Okay, anyway, so let's not get sidetracked too much.
I'm not in this episode, so I just wanted to say hi.
So Jimmy is telling Lalo that the DA are now looking into him because they set off some alarm bells with that 7 mil, and Lalo's not worried about it at all. The whole De Guzman thing holding up, because even if they find out he's not De Guzman as a cover, he'll be long gone in Mexico as he figures here. And then of course we have the whole "we're not done." They're going to be doing big things from the cartel, etc., etc. And then Nacho arrives, but before Lalo leaves, he makes sure Jimmy got his payment. My cousins pay you, good. Make sure you get something nice for that wife of yours.
Oh, God.
And this moment fills Jimmy with dread. It's like Mike warned him a little bit about this in the desert, but now it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Now Jimmy's just filled with all the dread that he thought was like a non-issue.
Yeah,
like,
you went to go see me, bro.
And I love how complimentary he is. Like, hey, seriously, respect. You marrying up the chain like you did. Respect. Oh, God. So just the dread of, like, Mike's in the game warning has all come true. So, Jimmy, it's not just that he came at all that unscathed. He's going back to he came at all of that, and he's going back to Kim. It's like, oh, no, and now he has to worry about Kim. He can't even enjoy the reward of being reunited with Kim just easy. It's like, now Lalo knows. Lalo knows. Okay. So speaking of Kim then tends to, very lovingly, she tends to the beaten and sun-dried James McGill in the bathroom.
Yeah, nothing helps a sunburn like a good old oatmeal bath.
I love the reveal, like how when she removes his shirt, you see how bruised and scarred up he is from like carrying the bags, and like you had to clean out the wounds and everything. Oh God, it's so nasty.
Yeah, so Jimmy's insisting he doesn't need to go to a hospital. He pounded the energy drinks as soon as he got to the truck stop. He's fine. He wants to avoid getting an IV. Anyway, so yeah, he gets into the oatmeal bath.
A very raw and tender scene, by the way. That's what I love about this. So raw and tender. It's like such a nice quiet scene between the two of them. It just helps him into the bath and everything. And again, I love that we kind of taken the romance of kind of the shower thing from a couple episodes back, and now we're seeing kind of the raw, like it's kind of the vulnerability of the bath. It's kind of, if you want to look at it kind of that way. All right, so
take notes, Batman versus Superman. This is how you do a bathtub scene.
Sure. Anyway, so Kim can't even fathom that Jimmy did all of this alone. So right now we see on Jimmy's face, he's taking a little bit of Mike's advice here, especially after the Lalo thing. He's still keeping her at a distance right now. It's like, okay, yeah, it was me all alone. Yep.
Yeah.
And sticking to the story for Kim's benefit. So Jimmy then asked her about her visit with Lalo.
My visit with Lalo. Oh, it was fine. We sat and talked philosophy. There was this weird, snooty French waiter who kept looming over us the whole time. Anyways, all right, I'm done. So yeah. Visit with Lalo. Jimmy does not approve, Dragon.
So he tells her to stay far away from Lalo as he says you're not in the game, and I love that she just has no idea what in the game. What are you talking about?
Okay, that I want to highlight that really quick because it's the first of two times where Jimmy tries to paraphrase Mike, but just
Yep.
totally goes over her head.
I mean, points for the attempt, but obviously here, it's like Jimmy, she's not going to know what the game is. She's not going to.
Dragon, you know what that moment reminded me of? It reminded me of, you remember the game, right? The game where if you think about the game, you lose the game.
Oh yeah, that whole thing. Yeah.
That stupid thing.
Yeah, I hated that. No, well, I didn't hate it with a passion. It's like it was the dumbest thing.
It was kind of pointless.
Literally, it's very pointless. Anyway.
Hey, the game. Oh, you lost. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You had to think of it because you brought it up to begin with. So
Anyway,
all right.
Okay. Focus on the game that matters here. So Kim, she says she was very careful in the short. Basically, Kim was careful in the short term as far as she considers it. Like, they were surrounded by guards and MDC. What could he have done, really? And Jimmy very seriously says, he's worried, basically, as he's worried about Kim here. Look, Kim, I thought I was done out there. As we saw, I'm done. No more. I'm done. He was done, man. Literally, sun cooked and just done with life. He thought he was done.
My poor cactus toe.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, he thought he was. That's it. I'm done. Done. So Jimmy thought he was done. He was that close to giving up. But the only thing that kept him going was that Kim was there, and says, "You were here." And she hears this. I love how receptive she is. She hears him like, "Okay, I won't see Lalo again." Then Kim is asking the big question: "Oh, how could this scene possibly get any better?" Well, folks, buckle up. So Kim asked the question, was it worth it? And he tells her to look in the bag, and Jimmy thinks he has like a big moment here. I love that every time we have the men who are trying to break bad and the Albuquerque verse, every time they have like a moment just trying to showcase their success and or their wealth, they're always like, it's there, but then the other party sees something a little beyond the pale. There's just a little beyond. It's like, yes, but so again, Kim sees the money, but she's not really paying any attention to the money. She finds another compartment within the bag, and within that compartment, Tiki, what darning symbol is it?
It's the world's second best lawyer again mug.
With?
The bullet hole.
Yes, and of course, really great shot, a really foreshadowy shot there, the bullet hole that Kim's looking out of. So again, this is just beautiful. Again, him not seeing the full scene here is like, do you see it? Yeah, I see it. That's what it's all about. Oh my God! Just again, Kim it's so fantastic here. This is the first time Kim is legitimately scared of the Saul Goodman path. For the first time, she sees like, oh God, like the ultimate symbol of my support and love for Jimmy
especially
McGill.
after after she was so insistent about him not going to begin with.
And that bullet hole just speaks so many volumes to her, confirms all of her fears and also all the dread in the future. Like, oh God, this new friend of the cartel life will be very dangerous to the man I love, and I'm not okay with this, but I gotta be supportive. So this I believe this moment is what sets Kim. This is one of the big moments that really kind of sets Kim into the actions that she does this episode. This really kind of motivates her in many respects. Like she's gonna cling to Jimmy like there's no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So as Jimmy gets lovingly checked in with Kim, Mike checks in with Gus. Mike reports in the Gus ring. He gives him kind of the status report there. He learns basically we learn to abridge this a little bit here. We learn that the guys who tried to steal the 7 million, they were a Colombian gang with a very distinct tattoo that Mike draws out for Fring. He recognizes these were hired men. He has a suspicion about who hired them, so he calls Juan Bolsa.
Dun dun dun.
So I love this. I love his golfing inside. I believe this was also in Breaking Bad. He had like a little internal golfing thing, and this is such a great reversal.
It's almost kind of like a Wii Sports setup. It's like a more realistic Wii Sports.
Pretty much. It's basically remember in the 90s. Like in the 90s, you always had like the intimidating businessmen who were like you were golf. It's even in The Mask. Technically, you had like the. Remember, you had like the big intimidating golfing scene where he puts Terrell, the bad guy from The Mask. He puts the little golf cue in his mouth and like
sure,
that whole thing. It's like that used to be like the big like wealthy, the symbol of intimidating mobster wealth.
Dragon, you know who else has one of those things? One of those like putting things in his evil lair.
You're not going to say Howard Hamlin, are you?
No. Well, that would be funny, but
Yes.
I'm going to say Tom Nook from Animal Crossing. All right, I'm done.
Okay, so what I'm getting at here. So here's what's so clever about the scene. So Bolsa, this is a fun reversal of his fate in Breaking Bad. Because remember, we had the scene where Bolsa had a phone call with Gus Fring in his cushy, nice house, and Fring called him, basically screwed him over, and then like when he opened the door, it was a SWAT team that Fring kind of sent to his doorstep to kill him. So it's kind of a fun reversal of that scene right now, where Bolsa has the control. Quite nice, a little mirror phone call death scene there. So apparently, and again, we know all the information. Again, sometimes we get new information as the episodes go on. So apparently the Stash House boss wasn't a traitor, but he was calling Bolsa, who is the actual big boss of everything. So per Bolsa's request, he tipped him off. Now, I'm still not 100% on this. I'm hoping the last episode might clarify. But it's not the end of the world if they don't. I'm not 100%, but I think Bolsa did this to end the nonsense between Fring and Lalo. I think that's why he was trying to do this, I think.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing.
Not 100%, but maybe the last episode clarified. Maybe not. The point being, Bolsa was behind it. That's all we really need to know.
Anyways, we get this great switch with Fring that I love, where oh God, it's so good. Where Fring at the start of the conversation is a little, he's pretty serious. But then Bolsa is basically like, now that Lalo's back on the streets, I trust this will be the end of your bad luck. Like the DEA being on your tail and the restaurant blowing up. Like, my hope is that all that nasty business is behind us. And then Dragon, I love how Fring, he switches into fucking nice fast food chicken man Fring before our eyes in the most scary way possible. He's just like, well, that'll be a good day then. I hope that we've come to some agreement. Thank you so much.
Great, I know. And of course, when he hangs up the phone, like the smile just disappears. Oh God, that's why Giancarlo, man. That's why Giancarlo Esposito is just so high in demand right there. Like, how can you not how can you turn your nose down an actor that good? So basically, what we established in the scene here is that Lalo.
That is like one of we've legitimately seen him use that voice before. Like obviously a lot of times, but this might be one of the most weaponized that he's ever used that voice, Dragon.
Oh yeah.
All right.
You gotta remember, Bolsa is very key within his plans and everything here, because again, Bolsa is like the in between him and Eladio. And if he ticks off Bolsa, his whole revenge plan for Salud goes out the crapper. So essentially, what we establish here is that Lalo must get south of the border. That's as far as Bolsa is concerned. Lalo is going to get south of the border, and this is important, I guess, with the course of Breaking Bad, and especially the next episode, we're going to see what happens. But Gus Fring can't be linked. He can't. His actions must be impeccable. Essentially, it must be kind of unmistakable. He can't make no more mistakes, no more trouble from this point forward, or else Gus Fring's plans in the long run are deeply jeopardized. That's unimpeachable, I think Gus Fring says.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. So we kind of set that up going forward.
Yeah. So then Mike brings up Nacho Varga, saying that basically after the Lalo thing's over, he served his purpose. And Fring, he's not budging on it, man. He's saying like, I don't see any reason to give up an asset. Essentially, we have someone on the inside of the cartel that we should use that to our benefit. Mike kind of pulls the whole card of like, well, you have a gun to his father's head. That doesn't sit well with me. And what's Fring's response, Dragon?
Fring has this great dog analogy. And of course, if we learn anything from Breaking Bad, dog analogies usually work, man. They really do. Like Gus Fring, last time he had a pet story was very captivating between him and
oh my God, the fucking coyote thing.
That's what I'm saying. That whole, I think it was a coyote. The whole, the thing that was eating all the fruit in the tree, that thing.
Yeah.
And that was already motivating, like, how he compared his hatred and like his healing of Hector Salamanca. Well, of course, he probably hurt him during all that too. Regardless, he had that, and then, of course, the whole the problem dog of it all with Hank and Jesse from Breaking Bad. Anyway, here, so Gus, of course, even Jesse, I believe, killing the dog in that one story during that AA meeting, I think. Anyway. So Gus's dog analogy here, it makes so much sense, especially on the rewatch. It's such a brilliant idea because he says, you take a dog who's bitten every owner he's ever had, and it takes either a firm hand or you put the dog down. when you think about it, the point now is that Nacho has betrayed all of his bosses. He's betrayed every boss of the Salamanca clan. He essentially bit Tuco, he bit Tuco, and then Hector, and now through Fring, Lalo. So again, it's like, how can Fring trust a guy like that? When you think about it, so yeah, I mean, Fring, I understand Fring's way of thinking, but obviously we're on Mike's side here. We want Nacho to live. We want him to live, darn it.
I mean, we want Poppy to live, more importantly.
I want Mr. Varga to live especially, yes.
Yeah. I mean, Nacho, don't get me wrong. I want Nacho to live too, but, everyone's pulling for Poppy.
Yeah, exactly. See, every time I say Poppy, I'm just thinking of Hector Salamanca saying, Poppy, I don't trust Poppy.
Oh, God.
Because remember, he's just so eager to see Mr. Varga. Ah, there's Poppy.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so let's see. So, anyway, so point, and of course, basically, this leads, there must be consequences. That's kind of Fring's big point there. And again, Mike, and again, I love that I was in the mindset, okay, of course Mike's going to be able to talk to Fring, of course. But this is not good for Nacho. Things might get a little worse for him getting to the next episode. Anyway, so Nacho, he gets a call from Tyrus, basically asking for the Lalo status report about basically Nacho's going to be his transport to the well, which will then be transported to the border. I got to make sure Lalo's out of their hair across the border per what Bolsa expects, and so on and so forth. And he says, that's it, right? Because Nacho thinks, okay, well, now the Lalo's thing done, we're going to sever ties, right? We're all good. He says, just do what you're told. It's like, oh, boy, that's not what Nacho wants to hear right now. Meanwhile, breakfast.
Yeah, specifically with oranges, Dragon. And as soon as I saw the oranges, I was like, not good.
Tiki, if we've learned anything, of course, the thing, kind of the runner this season for us, mainly for you, has been the whole, the Godfather of the modern generation, as it were. It's kind of like, what is it like?
The modern day crime epic of our time.
There you go. That's what it is. And of course, big symbol of the Godfather, oranges. Oranges are kind of the symbol of doom and demise, and just near death and death itself. So oranges are terrifying. Also, in Breaking Bad, they're the symbol of near death. If you ask Ted.
Yes.
All right, so Kim is the build to the oranges of it all here. So it's breakfast. Kim took a day off to care for Jimmy, and he says, oh, you don't need to do that, Kim. Well, I already took the day off, so they're not expecting me, so you're stuck with me. So again, Jimmy as a character, as we've seen many a times, especially through the passing of Chuck McGill, Jimmy internalizes his pain and his suffering, and he doesn't like to reflect. He just internalizes and moves on. So of course we see this in the kind of the negative effects of this, where she's using the juicer, the famed juicer, the juicer that I assume it's the same juicer I brought to Davis in Maine that one time.
Right.
I like to think he took that juicer home personally, but anyway.
Hey, it looks like a nice juicer, man.
I know, it's a thing. Like, we know he bought a really nice juicer. I assume he took that juicer. I gotta see if it's the blue one or not. Anyway, so Jimmy has PTSD. PTSD from we've seen Jimmy also has PTSD every time. It's another food related PTSD moment, because you remember Miho, the second episode of the first season, with the breadsticks. Every time there's been like a violent action he's been around, especially with the cartels and everything, and every time he breaks breadsticks, it makes him think of broken legs. So yet another a far more intimidating version of that here, where Jimmy as Kim is just putting all these oranges in a juice, like, Kim, how many oranges do you need? Can't you see he's in agony? She's going the full Godfather with these oranges here, as basically we have the sound. Basically, here's the sounds of the blending and everything, as it sounds like bullets whizzing by, and we have these really great cuts in the editing, and they kind of equate the gunshots. And
Never has making orange juice been so intense, Dragon.
It's kind of like a reminder. You have the sounds and everything, and just the editing. Then you have like that kind of simulate the gunshots. The liquid being poured in, I'm sure, reminds him of the bottle of urine electrolytes, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course the splashback on Kim, because folks, if you're not careful, a little PSA here we learned from that Davis and Maine moment in way back in Inflatable. If you're not careful, you're gonna
splash action going on here.
There's gonna be some splashback from anything you put in the juicer, folks. You gotta be careful. Don't wear anything super nice when you're using a juicer for a big job like that. Anyway, so splashback onto Kim, and of course this is absolutely what he fears. Like, he just had some splashback on him that one episode with blood. Now it's like he just the splashback onto Kim, and Kim yelling, "Oh!" And then of course that's his worst fear right there. Kim being caught in the crossfire, being oranged to death, man. She doesn't want her to be oranged to death. So, again, basically Kim dying next because of his actions, which if you want to link in the grand whole of things, his brother died because of Jimmy's actions, because of the choices he made, and then Kim dying because of the choices he made would be like 10 times worse than Chuck dying in his mind. So that's the thing. That's everything Jimmy fears is in this scene. So the PTSD kind of causes him to break the cereal bowl just by accident. He's just kind of like shaking, just kind of knocks it off. And I love what Ray Seahorn does here. As he cleans up the mess, she just sees this vulnerable moment in Jimmy as he's like shaking and deeply affected by the thing. Just the sheer concern they feel for each other. It's a beautiful relationship, man.
Oh yeah.
All right. So after the PTSD sequence,
they decide to sit down and watch a movie, right?
Yeah, like Jimmy's soaking his really jacked up feet from his day or two in the desert. Which, by the way, they had to go back out there. I love how Jonathan Banks put it that when Vince Gilligan goes to a spot at the end of his episode, he's going right back out there with schnauz.
Oh God!
Which, I love that. Not for 17 days, thank God.
All right, so Jimmy's sitting on the couch. His cell phone starts ringing. At first, he turns down the client pretty abruptly. He's like, "No, I'm sorry, I can't. It's impossible today." But then the client over the phone, we don't hear the conversation, but we know the client's desperate. Jimmy goes up, gets into lawyer mode, and what's Kim's response?
Well, Kim's response is like, Jimmy, no, why can't you just get a continuance? And she then confronts Jimmy with the fact that she knows that he's lying, and she saw basically in not so many words she saw the mug. She knows that some more stuff happened out there, and that he's keeping certain secrets about what happened to him in the desert. And this is where here we go. This is where the breakdown.
The anti-Skylar White Award.
Here we go. So what Kim says here is like, I'm not. She doesn't force him to tell just because of the vow they took. The whole whole arrangement. We don't lie to each other. She's not forcing him in the moment because she caught him. She knows he's been through stuff. She's not like sticking the dagger in or anything. Like, hey, I'm not forcing you to tell me now. I just want you to know that I'm here for you, and you can tell me. No judgments, which again is the whole celebration of the vows. And again, I wrote my notes here. Take notes, Skylar. Because the moment when Skylar White really lost a lot of points for me, and again, I'm not going to say she.
I think for a lot of people, Dragon.
For me, and I always feel good because Vince Gilligan always defends Skylar in the situation. It's his character after all.
A lot of people do defend Skylar.
And again, I say there's a roller coaster effect with Skylar. I think she.
Yeah, I definitely defend seasons 4 and 5 Skylar for sure.
Basically, for me, Skylar first season fine, perfectly fine. Then it's we get to the car wash stuff. Anytime she's running the car wash or in a scene with Saul Goodman, all that stuff, we're gold. And then I believe the first half of season 5, I believe that was the half. One of the half of season. Point being, in season 5, she's on it. She has a really big comeback.
Yeah.
But season 2, though, we're off to a really bad start in season 2. Essentially, folks, we're kind of mirroring here is the end of Grilled. And basically, after the Grilled episode, which is fantastic, Walter had his whole fugue state excuse. And again, whether she fully believes him or not, I mean, the man obviously went through something. Again, the thing that the referral with Scott was like, the man's dying of cancer, right? You're aware of this factor, right? You could just cut him a little bit of slack.
That was the problem with season 2 is that it just. I don't know. Season 2, it's like she is putting everything together in season 2. I'm sorry, folks. This is like a Skylar White side tangent here. She is putting everything together in season 2. That's what we have to realize. It's not just any one thing that Walt does. It's the fact that she's getting the whole picture in her head throughout the season of what he's up to. You know what I mean? Yes. So that's what I'll use to defend it.
Yeah, again, it was always the point where she gave him the silent treatment like a child. It was the most petty, ridiculous.
The silent treatment wasn't great. Yeah,
like when he comes back and he's just he's making a genuine attempt. He's making breakfast, he's trying to chit chat her up. He's willing to kind of.
And he's like, "Oh, he's making breakfast. How horrible!"
Exactly, he's treating him like he's a monster already. And again, he is even before he even made the monstrous decision, like way before any of the Jane stuff even happened. So it's like he's really still in the vein of like doing it for his family before it transforms into like the rest of the whole Anyway, point being
the 747 era.
Exactly. My point is, Jimmy comes back after an ordeal. His partner is very receptive to the fact, oh God, he's been through something. I don't know all the details. I know something really dangerous. He's not ready to tell me about it. I want him to know that I'm here for him. And again, if I really need to push, I guess I will, but not right now. Obviously, I'm not gonna. It's just like seriously, take notes, man. Again, the whole no judgment. She's being really nice and cushy with him. Is anyway. Again, we've always said this from the beginning. Again, this is like how Scott should have been written, man. At times at least. This is like anyway. Okay. Anti Skyler for the win. All right. So let's see. So Jimmy then in response, Jimmy does give her a snippet. Gives her a snippet of the desperation with the whole pee bottle thing. Or basically says, "I had to drink my own pee in the desert." And anyway, so that I do all that. And again, you get a sense that he wants to tell her, but he just can't risk her life. Like he almost lost his out there. That's kind of the point there. He does not want to put her in a position like he was in. So that's very much kind of like he want you get. I just love like what's said in between the lines. Are really good stuff, right? Yeah. Also, a little fun fact. Just kind of go back a little bit. So the thing that they're watching a movie again, kind of celebrating just the two of them, just kind of having a moment to themselves and. Basically the two of them having a moment to themselves is kind of like basically this is what Jimmy kind of traveled back for, is kind of be reunited with Kim and just kind of go back to the status quo, which obviously is going to be a bit of a problem for him. But the movie they're watching is a movie called His Girl Friday, I believe from 1940s, from the 40s. Fun fact, Mike was watching this, I believe way back in, God, what was it? I think season 2, way back in season 2 when he had when we did the like right before Nailed, he did, had the garden, was doing the garden host thing. He was watching a movie, I believe it is His Girl Friday. So a little connective tissue there, and again, basically kind of the thematic themes about not having seen somebody and like I hadn't seen it feel like 10 minutes, but I know it's like feels like it's been forever. Again, the separation of two people, and basically there's a climax in that where it's very much like the third act climax here. A little more of a lover's quarrel in that, though. Obviously, third act here. Not lover's quarrel at all. Anyway. All right, let's see. So the point being, Jimmy's making an effort, but again, he's still being very guarded about things. Meanwhile, so Kim knows there's more there than what he's saying, and Jimmy makes the point that I will recover, and then we'll never need to mention this again. So again, Jimmy McGill is a character who's all about bouncing back. Jimmy's all about bouncing back, but this is hard for him to shake. That's the thing. Out of all the things Jimmy's been through in the show before, as Peter Gould's always said, Jimmy McGill's biggest quality is that he can bounce back from anything. Chuck's death threw him for a loop, and this is thrown for an even bigger loop, what he's been through. And I think Kim sees that, and I think the result of this is Kim overcompensating in her support of him and has given her perspective with the near loss of kind of the meat of how she defines her life right now. So there's going to be a lot of ramifications we're going to see.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you get into the quote unquote confession?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. All right. Moving on now. It's Kim at work, right?
Yes, so that's the thing. So again, Kim is kind of overcompensating in certain things and cutting ties in other things, which brings Kim going into the office in response to Jimmy going into work. So we have Marcy, by the way. Marcy, Kim's assistant. Receptionist, I believe. So Kim's going to work despite her sick day. Kim is very much throwing herself into work like Jimmy is right now, but she just can't get back into the swing of things because her mind is stuck on the big status quo shifting perspective.
Yeah, and also just like if you listen to the dialogue of what she's actually delivering, Dragon, it just sounds like such soul crushing work. You know what I mean? It all kind of sounds like Acker style cases. We don't really get the full details, but we don't really need to. We kind of get all we need to know.
Yeah, well, what I kind of read it as, Tiki, is that Kim, like even before she goes in, essentially her legal team or associates who kind of taken care of everything for her. So I think Kim comes into the workplace. She sees that she's cultivated a firm of a team of associates who really don't need her. Her purpose at Schweiger and Coakley is kind of done. And she stops tape recording and she's distracted by it. I've always loved this detail. I loved how it played, I believe, all the way back in Something Stupid as well, where we saw Jimmy go to her office. And we see the framed pro bono thank you letter that she has. And I always love this prop, by the way. It's fantastic. Well, thank you letter to Kim Wexler with the photo with the person she helped. It's adorable.
Yeah.
And this leads to her own version of midlife clarity, like Jimmy had way back in season 2, with his like, what is this? This is what a midlife crisis looks like. This is a midlife clarity. So, so that's the thing. I love that Kim
This is a move that we were expecting someone to make, either Mesa Verde to sever ties with her, and her to sever ties with Mesa Verde. Dragon, I must say, I'm in the short term, I'm happy for Kim because she's going out on her own terms. She's doing what she needs to do. She's going out on her own, right? But Dragon, I feel like this lowers her stock in terms of surviving the season.
It does.
Because her storyline is like so wrapped up with a bow right now. That's the concern I have. Because it's like we're not going to see Kim Wexler's professional career crash and burn. I don't really think there's any room for that in the story unless we get like a pro bono case that goes terribly wrong in the finale or anything like that. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
I have some speculation. I'll say that much.
All right,
we'll get there. But the point, you're right though. We are wrapping a lot of things up with Kim, and again, it's a logical.
It just seems like if there was going to be any blowback to the Acker stuff, it would have happened by now.
Yeah, I mean, again, Acker's tied up with a bow right now. Acker's all good. We even
yeah.
Apparently. But that's the thing. I love that it's, again, like Kim is going through her own metamorphosis like Jimmy did. And she's kind of coming to her own about, like, I want to do this. Where, again, it was his own thing of, like, I want to try this. He tried the Davis and Maine lifestyle, which, of course, eventually led to the Saul Goodman choices, the colorful lawyer choices. So she talks to Rich, and, of course, basically reveal through her conversation.
Richer, the true hero of the show.
Yes. So we reveal through Marcy that Kim just quit, which is like, oh my God, she just quit. And again, I imagine part of that decision is coming from just kind of she wants to be there for Jimmy, and again, like she's part of that is maybe just like overcompensation and support, perhaps. Again, kind of her emotional kryptonite has always been she never wants a separation like the separation she had with her mother. Therefore, she never wants a separation like that with Jimmy, which has led to the marriage proposal, which has led to overcompensation as her kryptonite, being my point. She can't stand emotional loss like the one she had there.
Anyway. Yeah, like you said, I love the way that it's framed where we don't hear the actual conversation. That's very artistically done. And for a second there, Dragon, were you like me where you were like, oh no, is she going to confide in Rich about Jimmy?
No, I was like on the edge of my seat. She's not, is she? Oh my God, she is. She's quitting. Because that's what I was thinking. Like, when she stopped that tape recorder, it's like, yeah, she's looking at the pro bono letter. She wants out, I guess. Yeah.
All right. So she takes a beat and she grabs a very important artifact out of the desk. First she talks to Marcy, right?
Yeah, she asks Marcy to pack up her office, basically her diplomas and everything. I don't even know if she really wants all the awards from Mesa Verde. Even I like to think she took at least one of them. At least I'd like to think she took them, but
just for prosperity's sake.
But again, she's not really an award person, just more about just kind of the little mementos and everything. Of course, as we signify with, before Kim leaves, she grabs the Sarajevo cork, which again...
I love that detail.
Big connection.
That's such a neat, deep cut.
It is, and again, a huge connection to the whole midlife clarity of it all, which again, I've been saying this since I had that epiphany with that flashback of Kim. Kim Wexler is her own Saul Goodman, and much like our Saul Goodman, she's going through this metamorphosis. And again, that metamorphosis in her relationship with Jimmy really started in the series with that Sarajevo cork.
Sure. Well said.
So again, symbol of slipping Kimmy of the relationship, and also the cartel. Point being, all circled with risk. Everything that I just mentioned, big risk. She's drawn to the risk, and again, the risk is going to take her places at the end of this episode and probably going to the next one. So mental note, kids. Okay.
All right, Dragon, are you ready for the most depressing use of the birthday song ever?
Oh, God. Yes, all this
Poor Hector, man. Poor Hector. This episode, we do such a good job of, Tony Dalton has been the terrifying villain throughout the season, and then Hector Salamanca, of course, kind of like a boogeyman throughout both of these shows. And yet, man, we feel so much sympathy for Hector in this one moment, Dragon. I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So this is the big goodbye visit. And again, for all we know, this is the last time they're going to see each other. For all we know, it sounds pretty much like that.
We don't know what's going to go down in the finale, but we'll see.
Yes. So we have a little bit of expo from Lalo, basically saying he expects to be on the lam for about a year. And again, folks, are kind of calling out the timeline a little bit here. We're still roughly, I guess, 2 years away from Breaking Bad, I think.
I thought there was an 11. He said 11 months before Tuco takes over.
Well, he does. So I'm saying I'm trying to
It's
think.
got to be at least 11 months.
I'm just thinking from where we start out, then shaving off some time after that.
Right. Yeah.
Roughly, basically, we were at 2004 in last season, so 4, 5, 6. There's a potential 2 to 3 years. I think. If Breaking Bad's in 2000, no, it's 3. It's 3 years. We're at 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, because the point being, Better Call Saul is always set 6 years before Breaking Bad, so we're halfway through at this point. So, anyway, sorry, semantics, folks. The point being, time has passed, so we're shaving down the 3-year gap. Is my point. All right, so let's see. Anyway, so Tuco's getting out in 11 months, which is big, and of course, when Tuco gets out, we're kind of setting the stage for the events of Breaking Bad, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. I love this. This is a really great detail here. Is that he plans on trying to get Tuco in line, kind of get him to stay clean. Because again, Tuco's a hothead because when he's on the stuff, he's a hothead. So we got to try to keep him out of trouble. We know how well that goes.
Yeah, that's not going to go too well. It's going to go about as well as the Dare to Resist Drugs and Alcohol program.
This might be important from some speculation here, because Lalo's initial plan is to charm Eladio against Gus Fring. So that's kind of his plan once he's across the border. So that's going to be a little note for next episode, I guess.
Okay.
So the nurse, one of the helpers, one of the, I guess, not candy stripers, one of the helpers of the volunteers, out of point, the nurse comes by. With a little birthday celebration check and like, oh, Hector doesn't want to miss these. We're about to celebrate one of the residents.
It's just like knowing what we know of Hector. That's like the biggest crock of shit. Like Hector is only going to want to keep to himself. The fact that they're just taking this guy's independence away from him, just like in speaking for him. Oh, Dragon, it's dehumanizing. It is. I feel for him.
I do, and it's so crazy, given how horrific a monster he is.
I know.
So again, like
magic trick, folks.
And again, then Lalo's coming. Can you give us a minute, please?
Lalo's very patient in the scene, I will say.
So this is where, to me, even before the third act, where Dalton gets the Emmy for me for this episode, where it's like Dalton brings what he brings to this scene with the bond with Hector, and so that you get the idea he was the favorite of the Salamanca clan to Lalo Salamanca. He was the favorite of the clan. Like Hector probably liked him even more than his own sons, probably.
Mm-hmm.
So, and of course, he coins the famous credo of the Salamanca clan: "Family is everything." It's the last word he has to him. Which, of course, big flashback with the cousins where he almost drowned one of the cousins and to teach him a lesson. Your brother.
Oh man, that's one of the best cold opens.
Again, family is everything. That's where that line came from. So, and this is what breaks my. This is where Tony Dalton just impresses me so much, even before we get to the third act. That sad final look as the birthday song is going on. You see the look on Lalo's face. He sees this kind of miserable Hector Salamanca with that silly party hat on his head. It just seriously though, it conveys so much with Lalo. He feels so sad he has to go because he has to go.
Totally.
And he really loves his uncle. He doesn't want to leave him, but he has to. And he's leaving such a miserable place. Again, they're going to take care of him. He has to keep him here, but it's like, it pains him so much. It's just such a great. Tony Dalton's the man. He's so good.
All right, so Lalo gets back in the car with Nacho. You can clearly see it's bothering him. He's just kind of stewing about it.
Yep. So they're heading to the border. So they're getting ready for his evac via the cousins, and Victor is following him. So this is how Mike knows what's going to happen later, because Victor is following him. So, all right. Meanwhile, Saul Goodman and Bill Oakley, our old buddy Bill Oakley, the Albuquerque local
Bill
actor.
Oakley, man, this guy cracks me up.
Oh god! Now again, Albuquerque local kids.
And this is pretty much like in line with what I thought my speculation would be.
You called it.
It's like, yeah, like Bill Oakley's just like very much like this used to be Jimmy's buddy, and now Bill Oakley's just like very antagonistic. Like, I still think there's like an air of playfulness to this, but still it's very much kind of like rubbing the dirt, like, oh, you've been treating me like a jackass this whole season, and now I'm going to treat you like a jackass.
Yeah, here's the thing. So first off, I love that Schnauz is such a great command over the writing here, where we can not see things and you fully get the impact. Like we didn't see him in court, we didn't see how he lost, but you don't need to know that. We just need to see the aftermath here. Where importantly though, it's like it's a rare loss for Saul Goodman.
It's a rare loss, and it sounded like a really bad loss too.
Yeah, and the big takeaway here is that Saul Goodman, in the current state that he's in, he has lost his mojo with this PTSD and the Kim problem, that he wants to tell her things, but he just can't because she's in the game now and doesn't want to keep her as far away. He wants to take her out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So now this, and again, a really interesting choice, not showing everything again, but Oakley, basically, he's just gloating over this epic victory he just scored against Saul Goodman. And again, right, these two guys, they've been adversaries for a while. Usually Jimmy has him over a barrel being kind of the point. But of course, with Saul Goodman in play is where all your stuff pays up, obviously, where Saul Goodman invited all the scrutiny when he made a big show of himself, especially at the end of 7. Like, I'm not God in human clothing! Lightning shoots from my fingertips! That whole thing.
Right, exactly.
So he's been burning bridges. He started burning his first bridge with Oakley, and I feel this is Oakley getting even with him, mainly for this is where I'm saying he's not fully gone, but it's Oakley getting even with him for sandbagging with the camera crew. That was really what started things off. So again, honestly, it's that he's lost respect for Jimmy. Like the old dynamic they used to have where they were buddy, and like he would show him some sympathy when he'd bust him in the chops a little bit when he was like arrested that one time, but still he tried to help him though. Now, not so much.
Exactly. Well said.
So let's see. So they probably
law students are gonna review the Goodman debacle.
You're probably gonna have to change your name again. So this is what cracks me up about it, though. So Jimmy, he kind of takes a moment, like goes to the stairwell. I love how silent he is too. Just the shame. He just kind of takes a moment there, and I love that he's not wearing a colored shirt too. He's just wearing kind of a white shirt. It shows you, man, Sullivan really has lost his mojo. So he's off to the side there, just like taking a breath outside the door of the stairwell, and then he's dealing with the fact he may have lost his mojo. And then we just pan over hysterically to Oakley and just kind of talk.
Hey, just so you know, I don't think any less of you. You're still a lawyer.
So, just so funny anyway. So this also puts into perspective the following scene, that Jimmy really doesn't have any friends. If he can't talk to Kim, and he definitely can't talk to Oakley, not they would talk to him about all the pertinent details, but even his old buddy Oakley, burn that bridge. Howard Hamlin, do we even need to say it? Anyway, so,
right.
So the only friend that Jimmy has now is Mike.
You got a friend in me.
You don't.
You got a friend in me.
You're not going to let him control if we just keep doing. That's what I'm saying. All right. Imagine Jonathan makes in a cowboy hat right now, but we gotta move past that. So,
reach for the sky, partner.
There's a snake in my boot.
All right. Anyways.
All right. So, it's a bank. A Jonathan Bank. Anyway, so when this point being, so this is when Jimmy asked. It has a little. It's not like Mike's not calling him for a meeting. Like Jimmy is calling him for a meeting. A little check-in essentially. And Jimmy asked him a very pertinent question. When does it start going away? When does this start going away? When do I have any inkling when my mojo is going to come back, so to speak? When can I put this behind me? Because now Jimmy's thinking all ethically. Saul Goodman is thinking ethically like Jimmy McGill used to think.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem for him. So what does Mike say?
Mike basically says it's just going to come away and go away in time. You're just going to wake up and realize one day that you haven't thought about the desert in weeks, even months, and it'll just be gone. But it's different for everyone, and it takes time.
Yes. You'll realize you haven't thought about it, and in that moment, you can forget. It gets easier. So you haven't thought about it. It's asking, so does it bother you? And of course, we get the them stealing $7 million didn't work for me. I gotta love this is where Banks. This is where he earns the title, Jonathan Banks. This is where it just gets good here. Is this
saving Mr. Banks,
so to speak? Yes. Anyway, okay, that's the remake we got to pitch. Okay, so.
Oh God.
if there's a being John Malkovich, there can be a being Jonathan Banks. I don't know.
All right.
Anyway, okay, we're going down the rabbit hole. We got to pull ourselves out from the rabbit hole. So them stealing $7 million.
Already a really long episode.
Them stealing $7 million didn't work for me. Not to mention shooting you in the head. When he says that, it fills me with hope that this is when Mike has earned respect with Jimmy has earned Mike's respect.
Oh, I
What?
absolutely think after the desert thing and, Jimmy pulling the cash and everything, I think that's pretty much a respect earner right there.
Yeah, this is him kind of slowly but surely saying, you know what, we're kind of friends, even if I don't like call you even if we're not besties, you know what, I see often enough to call you a friend. And I also had an epiphany from last episode when I rewatched it, is that Jimmy, the experience in the desert was Mike's redemption for Werner.
Yeah. It was kind of like Mike's Odyssey, if you will.
In a sense, yeah, it was kind of like, yeah, not the same thing per se, but again, he's in a desert, and again, he killed a friend last time. In this case, he's kind of saving somebody in the desert. That is kind of the closest thing he has to a friend outside of Werner. It's Saul Goodman, which is kind of beautiful when you think about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. So of course, they say Mike equates everything here. Again, we kind of a page from the Code of Mike, where it was us, it was them or us. They were in the game, and then Jimmy asked the very pertinent question, what about Fred, the travel wire guy? Was he in the game? And Mike says no. And again, Mike feels really guilty because Mike dragged the travel wire guy into things. He feels really guilty about this.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jimmy puts it in perspective. So we're helping Lalo, the guy who killed that poor guy? He's thinking ethically now. It's like, and then Mike tries to comfort him with, that's not the end of the story. Wait, not the end of the story. What's going to happen to Lalo? What have you got me into?
God, I love this. It's just like, oh no, oh God, just all this shit, just to...
He's out. We get him on bail.
Just so he can get out of jail, and now he's going to get away, and you're going to kill him. Oh God!
But we can't kill him because of the whole cartel politics. What's going on here? Anyway, all right. So then Mike hits us with the title of the episode here. We all make choices. They put us on a road.
Yes.
They're small, but they put you on the road.
Well, to be fair, Jimmy's going to be the one that coins the term.
You're right, but he gives him the idea, which then Jimmy turns into.
Which again, I love the fact that that's a runner, and it's not the first time in the episode that Jimmy's tried to paraphrase Mike.
Let's see. So then, of course, Mike puts in perspective. He wonderfully kind of spells out the moral of the episode, and I love it here. Where it says, you think about getting off, but eventually you're back on it. Go to the desert, and we're back here now. We're back to here now, and nothing can be done about that. And again, essentially, what Mike's spelling out here is the theme of season 5 is the Telltale season. I love it. Oh
yeah, very much so.
Where basically, it's like he and Jimmy are on a path where there's no turning back from the Breaking Bad path of it all here. And of course, Jimmy then phrases it so lovely here when Jimmy says, "I can't believe all the billions of people out there. You're the only person I can talk to about this." Seriously, it's the cosmic irony I'm loving so much. Yeah, these two guys are kind of fated to be together. Ever since that toll booth, they've been fated to be together. It's beautiful.
Yeah. All right, so he drops him off at the street corner, and then another drop-off is about to occur. Or is it?
So Lalo's waiting by the well for pickup by the cousins.
I love how the well is kind of like this kind of like iconic location now.
I don't think we're going to see it. I mean, I'm never saying never. Maybe for all I know.
Well, I'm just saying, even if we never see it again, it's kind of cemented its legacy, in my opinion.
Well, no, that's what I'm talking about, Tiki. I'm saying the legacy of it all could be like we could see the origin of like the first time the Salamancas used it.
Right, yeah.
That could be the cold open next episode for all I know. That's why I'm never saying never. It's like, oh my God, we're never gonna get that Barry Goodman flashback.
But even if this is it, I feel like the legacy of the well as a location is kind of cemented.
And I think you're right about that too. Okay, so Lalo's waiting by the well to be picked up by the cousins. He's complimenting Nacho on his work with Los Hermanos and says, hey, he promises more. Hey, we're gonna do more together, buddy. So let's see.
Nacho's just like, yeah, that sounds great.
Nacho wants to drop this guy off and hope that maybe he and his father get out of Dodge now. Lalo's out of the picture, and Fring seems to be done with them. Little does he know, but more on that later. So, so then Lalo, while he's out there, while he's by the well, and of course, I think while he's by the well, he's just thinking about Jimmy's story. And again, maybe that little tiny seed of doubt then just kind of is re-triggered. I guess that's my logic for it there. Is he's thinking about it while he's by the well. You know what? We're around the same area, and I got the guy with the car here, so he can knock some notches. When he says, you know what? While I'm waiting for the cousins, you drive me up a couple miles.
Oh boy!
So he checks in with Jimmy's story and sees, and of course, logically, he doesn't see the car, but then he finds the car.
He basically turns into Batman, Dragon.
Yep, so we've seen Lalo very, very athletic given the whole travel wire fiasco.
I mean, Lalo is essentially like maybe Batman isn't the right word. Lalo is essentially like a psychotic James Bond.
Sure. Oh, well, of course, given the last name perfect, yes.
Well, yeah, yeah.
That's the crossover I want to see. Tony. Okay, anyway. Tony and Timothy Dalton, that'd be perfect.
Oh God.
See that pairing. All right. So he just jumps right onto the car, and it's okay. Jumps right onto the car, and he kind of finds the bullet hole, and of course we mirror the shot there. Kim's looking through a little bullet hole, and the Cub and bullet hole in the car and the Esteem, and it's this is back to Albuquerque, which is not the plan.
Oh yeah.
So Kim returns home, and she wakes Jimmy up, and they're getting some food in Jimmy's system, kind of starting him off slow with some soup. You get his stomach back in working order because again he hasn't eaten in a day, and the cereal didn't work out so well in the morning. So let's see. So Jimmy, let's see. So we mirror the bed.
Dad soup.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
I love the. Sorry, now see, when you said I didn't hear it, but then I realized he's talking about Hi Dad. So it was just
I'm talking about Hi Dad.
I know you now. I know it. That's what I'm saying. It's so hysterical. Anyway, okay, we're trying to avoid the rabbit holes, little mister.
I know. Sorry.
Anyway, God, what was I? All right,
we're making good time.
I like how we mirrored the bedroom scene where Kim, it's like the earlier bedroom scene from from the wedding from episode 7, where they were Jimmy stopped the action to tell her something, and now Kim's kind of stopping the tender moment to tell him something, to tell him about the big shakeup in the status quo, the whole Quentin Schweiker and Coakley and Mesa Verde. So Jimmy,
Jimmy is he's not really happy about this, Dragon. He calls it it's not a good choice. It's not a good choice, he says. It's he basically drops the title. It's a bad choice road. We all make these choices that we go down, and yours is a bad choice. It's the bad choice road. And I love how once again Kim's just like, what? What are you talking about?
It's just so funny.
Oh God, like Mike is just like the freaking like espionage super soldier that Jimmy like could never hope to be.
Yep. So just to frame the issue here a little bit, to what all the bad choice road of it all here is that Jimmy is concerned by this. Essentially Kim just wants to do her pro bono work, and again, it's a very logical kind of line of thought there. Where again, she's been kind of fighting Mesa Verde anyway. It's like, what's the point? Like, basically, why is she still there if she's like fighting him tooth and nail all this time? It's not worth the stress. And of course, Schwartz and Coakley, they're good without her. So as far as Jimmy is concerned, morally, Kim is kind of the good to balance out his bad. So that's kind of morally what's going on there. But again, there's Jimmy, then the Saul Goodman side of him kind of comes into play here, where Saul Goodman's a little bit worried about the financial thing, which might kind of meld her more into his world, which he's terrified of right now. That if Saul Goodman, right now, if she's not making any money with the pro bono cases, for the kids out there, pro bono usually means no money. Morally good, as in major chromatic points, friends. But again, money, not so much. So if Saul Goodman has lost his touch, then that means they're going to be struggling for some money, and he might drag Kim down with him. And again, he's also worried about dragging her down with like, my own dream is kind of fledgling right now. If I can't get my magic back up, and other than that, she might just get dragged down to the other dark side of the muck with me too, which I do not want whatsoever. And basically, Kim is. Again, Kim is making the point. Again, Jimmy, by the way, ducking 3 very important phone calls, 3 or 4 important calls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that's a runner in this season. It's just like the ducked phone calls.
Yes.
I'm honestly fully expecting the season to end on a missed phone call, Dragon.
That'd be great. So anyway, the point being, so then Kim kind of comes back with him here, and she's asking again. This is where we get into the full circle element of the season. This shows you that we're getting to the end of the season here, kids. We're very beginning of the show is as Jimmy McGill making the big leap to Saul Goodman, and Kim going along with it. And Kim's kind of pulling that back into the fray here, where she's asking, "How is this any different than you becoming Saul Goodman?" And and Jimmy says, "I was leaving failure for success. You're very
Oh,
successful."
that's a very cutting line, but kind of true in its own
Yeah,
way.
it is.
Yeah.
So again, the full circle conversation about the choices that started the season off. Again, full kind of equating like this is the choice. It's like at the end of the Telltale game, we'll do like the credits thing where they show you like you made this choice and then this choice, and it just kind of goes forward like reflecting. Here's all the players that made this choice along with you.
Right, yeah.
So Jimmy, I kind of read this scene as to get. I read this scene as Jimmy's trying to call himself out via Kim, which is not fair to her. Like he's really kind of chewing himself out in this scene through
And
Kim.
Kim has actually been doing a lot of that herself, like
Yeah.
specifically like through that argument with Rich and stuff like that. So, she's almost kind of getting a taste of her own medicine with that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's basically just kind of Jimmy just saying like he's trying to equate the choices he made at the beginning of the season through Kim right now, which is unfair to her. But again, she has kind of brought something like that, as you just said, with Coakley. So again, he's also trying to do this to protect Kim. He's just very mixed about what he's doing. Again, he's very much lost his touch, and it's coming across in this argument they're having right now. Right? Jimmy hasn't really thought this argument through. So it basically comes across like he's insulting her choices, which is not his intent, but he is doing that. And as she says, it's none of his darn business.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, at the pinnacle of again, we're at a moment like, oh god, like the last time they had an argument like this, they got married. Well, how can we do it from here? How are again, I love this. It's like a moment in the writers' room, like they write themselves. It's almost like they write themselves into a corner. It's like, well, what do we do now? Okay, well, something big is going to happen. Of course, like how do we get any bigger than them getting married? Well, so there's a knock at the door. And as Kim goes to answer the door, Jimmy finally answers a call. It's a frantic call for Mike. And when Mike gets frantic, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So Mike basically gives like a Liam Neeson Taken call as he's driving very fast over the Jimmy's place, giving him very Taken-like instructions. Hide the phone. Like lay the phone down so I can hear and somewhere where it can't be seen. Now. And as he just sees the look on Kim's face, like Jimmy kind of is putting two and two together, you're like, oh, God, it can't be. Tell me he's not in the neighborhood. Tell me he's not in the neighborhood. So they open the door together, and basically we have like kind of the image in front of you folks right now.
Hey, guys. I love the happy-go-lucky nature of Lalo Dragon, even at his most intimidating. He's like, no, we're just going to figure this out, all right, guys? We're cool. We're friends. Now, that's the Miguel Prado shining through there. Hey, guys.
Again, just perfect writing structure right there. Like, how do you break the scene? Lalo enters, and then the scene just goes on, and it gets to the most intense thing possibly the most intense thing we've ever had, Better Call Saul.
Oh, I think this is the most suspenseful scene in Better Call Saul. I would say so.
So Lalo drops by, and of course we have some really great pleasantries, like he's complimenting how the place looks. Nice, I like it. Like Jimmy's offering him a beer or something to drink, and of course this bit tells all, and I love it so much. It's like the ultimate symbol here. He's tapping on the fish tank.
Uh-huh.
The symbol of Jimmy, the symbol of criminality, and he's tapping on the glass. Like, hey, please don't tap on the glass. It upsets the fish. And of course, the fish being Jimmy, basically he's tapping on Jimmy throughout the scene. Really good stuff.
Right.
So Lalo sits.
If you will.
As he sits, he shows off his gun. Intentionally or not is the question. Maybe intentionally is the be.
I think probably intentionally, knowing him.
Yep. So Jimmy is trying, and very smartly trying to get Kim out of there. Well, Kim was on her way out. Says, no, she can stay. She is part of the legal team, right? Which is the last thing Jimmy wants to hear right now. Oh, why did she say part of the legal? Oh, it's
right.
so bad. It's so not good right now. So the tension is mounting and palpable with like the big question of the episode. I think on all of our minds, like, is this episode gonna end with Lalo pulling his gun out and shooting Kim, and then like the next episode's gonna start?
Yeah, man.
With like her bleeding out or something, like, oh god, what's gonna happen?
I was really worried about that. Or I was also worried about potentially with Mike. I was worried about Mike potentially taking a shot and missing.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. There's some stuff there. So the three sit, and this setup is so beautiful to me. The three sit for a very intense and interesting conversation. So here's what's so brilliant about the scene. Okay, so Lalo wants the full story. He wants him to tell him a story, and essentially he wants the full story. He wants to kind of fill in the blanks of the gunshots, which obviously we, the audience, know. If he finds out, like the cartel sent men after him, that's going to complicate everything. Basically, we might not get a Breaking Bad if that happens.
Right.
So Lalo wants the full story, and as we set up earlier in this episode, so does Kim. So what do? We sit down the three characters, two of which want the same thing out of poor Jimmy McGill.
Story time.
And Jimmy, for both her sake, his own, and again, through the person he cannot tell this information to, Jimmy he has to stick to the story. And to add even more added pressure, Mike is listening in.
Oh, God, right.
The guy who told him the story in the first place. So Mike's listening on the phone. Jimmy has to stick to the story despite the tension of Lalo, but he's trying to appease Kim. Kim knows there's more. Lalo may or may not, but oh God, it's like, and to top it all off, Saul Goodman has lost his mojo, so they're all in great peril.
Totally.
So
yeah,
Jimmy,
Saul Goodman is absolutely sitting there like a sitting duck, man. He cannot put one sentence in front of the other. He's just really kind of fumbling through his stories. He's just kind of saying like, I don't know what you want. I'm telling you, he's kind of adding different details into the story each time to kind of like give it an air of validity to it. Like the having to drink your own pee thing and stuff like that is getting added into the story.
Yeah.
You want details? I gave you details.
Yeah, so obviously we're not going to go through all three iterations of the story, just to kind of give you the highlights. The point being, he tells the story 3 times, and the quote is that basically first story he walks him through, kind of recaps episode 8, sans the whole Mike was there and there was a shootout. Basically, taking out those 2 details, he kind of recaps very accurately what happened and bailing him out. Lalo then says, "I just want you to tell me the story. I just want to hear the story." And this is where Tony Dalton's the genius. Oh my gosh, he says he's the same. How can you take an actor, give him the same line of dialogue multiple times it's like the old acting technique, but done so effectively, the old repetitious acting technique. How can you say the same line but increase the tension? So Jimmy and Kim, by the way, being lawyers, they know the attempt. And of course, the classic lawyering interrogation technique, you keep hearing the story until you hear a detail that doesn't line up. That's the trick, and they're aware of this. So the two of them are very much simpatico here, but they have no idea how to get out of the situation when the client or the person in question has the gun.
Oh, yeah.
Second time, Jimmy gives them more details. There's 2 fine gentlemen that were your cousins. Then I had to drink my own
pee thing.
Yeah, then I had to drink my own pee. So now you're caught up. Basically, now we're caught up to where, as much as Kim knows. But then the big moment of truth happens with the 3rd iteration of the story. And then Lalo was saying, "I just want to hear the story." And then, of course, Kim's saying, "Look, I'm not sure what you want here. He just told you the story." And he shushes Kim like, "Oh, God, that's what I'm on the edge of my seat, chewing like the cushion. Like, oh!" So, you paid. I paid a lot of money for that story. I can hear as much as I want. Oh yeah. So then he's tapping the glass, and oh boy, this is where we're getting like now. I think I would argue this is the moment where the Breaking Bad fear begins. Like this is where why he's so terrified of Lalo in Breaking Bad. This might be the birthplace of it. I mean, he's already kind of tense around, but this is like when the fear came in. So it gives him the 3rd time. Then we reveal Mike is there with a sniper trained on Lalo through the window. So, okay, Mike's backing him up. But here's the fun thing. I want to get your read on this, T. This is very pivotal. So I like to think, in part, Mike's there to save Jimmy. But interestingly, Tom Schnauz says that he might come down a little bit more on this. Tom Schnauz is of the mindset that Mike is there with a sniper to make sure that Jimmy sticks to his story. So there's a potential outcome where if Jimmy spills his guts, Mike have to shoot all 3 people in that room.
That's kind of the way I read it too, Dragon. Honestly, that's why Mike was so demanding with the phone thing, and he was just very much needed to know what was going on in that room at all costs. I don't know. I don't think that's too far out of the realm of
logically
where we could question him.
Logically, again, who am I? You're absolutely right. Who are we to question the Schnauz, the almighty Schnauz? But I mean, I like to think maybe a little bit too. He wants Jimmy to succeed here too. He's there in part to help Jimmy out. But you're probably at the end of the day, if I'm picking one between the other, he's there to make sure that story checks out. Which is just very tense. So, Jimmy, Okay, let's see. So Jimmy's basically giving the whole Lawrence of Arabia take on the story. I was there with 2 heavy bags. And when I got back, I was pounded down the
strapped
energy.
against my back.
Yeah.
Just the weight, which isn't far off from the description of what actually happened, Dragon. He might even be underselling it.
He is. He is. Like I tripped on a cactus. It was terrible. So then, of course, I got back. I was pounding energy drinks. He sells the desperation, and then with desperation, he's begging him, like, "Can she leave? It was all me. It was all me. It was all you, eh?" I saw. Then Lowe's kind of spits it out here. Says, "I saw your car." And then Lowe's asking the big question. This is what kind of lands Jimmy in some hot water here. Did you push it into a ditch? And Jimmy says, I don't think so. And again, this is him off his game. Sullivan would never say, I don't think so, because he's opened himself up to a lot of scrutiny right there. Holy, you either did or you didn't.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. With the I don't think so, absolutely. That is very much Saul just kind of really just taking a fumble, Dragon. Just a Charlie Brown football fumble of a legal answer.
Lalo just like took the football away from him.
Right.
So Jimmy's like offering then it gets even worse where Jimmy's offering the money back, which is not the point. That's a huge mistake. That's insulting the pleasantries.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, and I'm like, it's like I just want to hear what happened. So before I want to get your read on this too. Like Jimmy, do you think Jimmy's about to break here? You think he's about to actually tell him what's about to happen? He doesn't know Mike's out there with a sniper.
I don't know, Dragon. I don't know. It's just I was kind of like in a just both times I've watched the episode, I've just been in such a heightened state that I didn't really think about it.
That's the thing on the rewatch. I'm thinking, oh god, Jimmy was about to tell him. I think that's the thing. It's like
maybe
would have killed them all possibly. But then this is great. So then Kim saves Jimmy's bacon big time. Here again, Skylar White, take some notes. Kim swoops in, saves Jimmy's bacon big time here. She calls out Lalo. And this is where we get like the fan base. I think they're calling her Sally Goodwoman. This is where we get the whole Sally Goodwoman of it all here, kids. Like the idea that Jimmy's off his game, but Kim found his mojo, man. This is where their own Saul Goodman in a sense. Look what he did for you.
$7 million of your money. He hauled it across a goddamn desert without one penny missing. And he got you out of jail for a murder that, let's face it, you definitely are guilty of.
I love that so much. And basically, throughout this whole sequence, the tension, how can you ratchet up the tension even more? Then she's insulting.
Like, Lalo is just taking it all in, man. He's just standing there taking it all in.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is a Saul Goodman tactic, where again, he would insult people into respecting him, essentially. He did with Nacho. So now, of course, she's just going on there. And again, the sniper is now getting complicated as Kim is kind of stepping in the way of Lalo. Like, oh, God, this is horrible. So then, of course, he gets the bullet hole detail, which, again, I think in part, again, this is information Kim is armed with because of the bullet hole thing that she found within the mug. So now she's protected here. I don't know where you're from, but in New Mexico, it's not out of the realm possibility. Some yahoos just kind of like shot at like a soda can and then ditched it in a ravine. Oh boy! So then Kim's going a little too far here, possibly with what happens next.
Oh yeah, she basically just tells him to get his crew together because, frankly, if the only person he trusts with the money is Saul Goodman, then he's got way more problems than just whether or not he can trust Saul Goodman in the first place.
Get your house in order. And I love when Lalo's saying, really? Yes. If you don't, basically exactly what you say, if you don't trust your own men. And again, she's making a very valid point here. Again, this is the thing with Lalo.
And it's like, not only is she in the game at this point, Dragon, but she's like giving advice to other people in the game.
I mean, she's the Bobby Fischer of the game, which we know can lead to doom. Like, she is like, right now, she's like, checkmate me, bro. Like, that's sort of thing, Well, no, I mean, you're in check, bro. You gotta anyway. Okay, the point being, so but again, seriously, she's getting to this whole point of like, you get your house in order. She's making very valid points because Lalo's whole thing is that she can't even trust Nacho with your money. And what kind of house are you running here? Like, it's kind of a self-reflection on him. Like, if you don't trust these people, what does that say about the operation?
Exactly.
Again, I think so. Essentially, my big thing is that she's giving him the idea for what's going to happen next episode with him here, which again could be very bad for all parties involved. She then defends Saul Goodman's honor here, saying like, "Hey, he doesn't lie. Next time, try a wire transfer." Which again, there's some irony with that when you really think about it. You know what started all this, Kim? But okay. He's been through, let's see, wire transfer. Have you ever heard of the Cayman Islands? Which, again, we've all heard of the Cayman Islands. Stop torturing the man who went through hell to save you. And then the look that Lalo gives, again, that look, really, it's like a shark looking at you, man. Like, oh, God, I don't know what's going to happen here. He's kind of looking all pleasant, smiley. He just leaves. I like to think Mike's impressed because I still was so close to you. I just want to see him with Mike.
Oh, I know. We're getting it. We're getting it, Dragon. We're getting it. We have to, right? We have
now
to.
She's
at the start of next episode.
Mike has just heard that she's in the game now. Therefore, Mike, anyway,
we have to get it. Of course, folks, we're geeking out about the possibility of Mike and Kim interacting, which is something we've wanted for a long time.
All I want, regardless, again, especially if she's on the chopping block, we got to get one scene with her before the end. We got to.
We got to.
Right, so then Lalo leaves, and when the second that door closes, you see the exhale, like the two of them just taking it, like, oh God, that was intense. So then Mike's watching Lalo leave. Lalo goes to Nacho. Nacho's saying, okay, back to the border. He says, no, change of plans. We got a long way ahead of us. Nacho,
oh God. Oh my. What is he up to? What is he up to? Oh no. All right, Dragon. Oh God, Spec. I don't even, Dragon, I got to be honest with you. Like in the in the ensuing 48 hours since I watched this episode, my mind has just been racing. I haven't really been able to pinpoint much in terms of Spec because there's just so many possibilities.
All right, let's see. Well, starting with kind of the glimpses we got the promo, very cryptic glimpses of the promo, which I'm impressed by. I'm so glad we got cryptic glimpses, not like big spoilery glimpses.
No.
So let's see. So Nacho, presumably, from the looks of things, he's taken Lalo all the way to Mexico, which again, basically, he said, point is Nacho was just hoping to drop him off at the well. He's going all the way to Mexico, which is not good for Nacho. He's going to be deep into the cartel business, and he's going to have to report this in to Gus, which again, while Lalo's around, will not be easy, I imagine.
Exactly. Yeah.
Jimmy.
So maybe we'll get a scene where Lalo confronts Nacho about the Gus stuff, potentially.
Well, here's my big theory, team. My big overarching theory, because it relates to all the Nacho stuff, is I think Nacho, under the orders of Fring, will double cross or set up Lalo with Alado, because the idea is that, again, per what Lalo said originally, is that Lalo is going to sweet talk Eladio into kind of dumping Fring, which we know is not going to happen. Mm-hmm. I like to think Gus is going to give him some very key instructions. Like, oh God, he's next to Eladio, which I never would have imagined. Which again, I could do something with this. And he's going to use the screw over Lalo, and this could be which would be the whole culmination of Fring's big arc this season, dealing with the Lalo situation, so we can get back to the Super Lab. And my big prediction is that the events here are going to be the big, it was Ignacio, the big Ignacio of it all.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? It's got to be.
Either that or the beginnings of it. The point being, it's got to start and or be done here in the next episode. Uh-huh. And Jimmy, I imagine Jimmy would become aware of the matter through Mike. That's how he would know about that's a speculation about how he would know about the events that went down. Because this episode, getting back to some other points we know about, Jimmy is on Mike's doorstep wanting answers about the situation, especially after Lalo stopped at his doorstep.
Sure.
I wonder, I've always speculated, I don't want this as much as the Kim thing, but still, a scene I always speculated about since the beginning of Better Call Saul is Jimmy meeting Kaylee.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to be at Mike's house.
I never even thought about that. Yeah, you're right. That would be a fun crossover.
It's entirely possible she could just be at Stacy's house, but then again, if Mike's at his own place, which I assume Jimmy could find Mike's place rather easily. At least he could find it. I mean, not easily, but maybe trace it a bit better. So I don't know. Anyway. Okay, let's see. So, point being, it suggests to me that whatever happens, even if Jimmy isn't in the thick of the action with Ignacio, he could find out through Mike, which is why in Breaking Bad he knows about the whole. It was Ignacio. We did it all. All right, so one of our favorites is coming back for the last episode. I called this that we might be getting the last glimpse at Howard next episode, which we are.
That's a relief.
Yeah, it's going to be Kim and Howard, a little courtroom. I predict a courtroom conversation. We'll see them in the courtroom having a conversation. I presume it's going to be a conversation about an honest evaluation of Saul Goodman. So Kim's going to make a major choice determined by Howard. And we have this peephole shot. Again, the big like eye hole shot is kind of the big symbol in these last two episodes. It looks like, looking through the bullet holes and the peephole in this case. I think symbolic that Kim's eyes are open to the game now.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of cartel money we see. I want to say at Eladia's place, it's all wrapped up the way he likes it wrapped up by Gus Fring. We established in the whole Sabrosito affair. So I think we're going to see Eladia's place. So again, hunts the whole theory. Last thing I got. I'm sorry, I don't want to. Do you have anything you really want to get in there?
No, like I said, I really haven't. My mind's been kind of a blur with the speculation just because there's so many possibilities.
Well, here's the big thing, the big Kim thing I was teasing up earlier is that, so we see Kim in an evidence room. I imagine the whole something unforgivable of it all is that Kim breaking her own principles to help Jimmy, is that she's really breaking she's always operated within the law, within what she's doing. It's always been like a little loophole, a little crack within the law to help like the whole Kashada affair. However, I think she's going to actually cross a line. That's going to be like the beginning of the end. If Kim doesn't die, that's going to be like the real corrupting of her soul, which will then put her fully. That, along with her being in the game, that's what's going to break her.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the unforgivable thing that he did to her, unless the unforgivable thing is, again, cartel killing Kim. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it won't be, but again, because we like Kim, but then again, dramatically, I don't know. All right.
Okay, we gonna make a call, Dragon?
Yes, because Kim has left them, and there's no telling if we're ever going to see him again. Let's call our friends at Mesa Verde. Let's see if the number even works. Let's see if that.
Yeah, let's see if the lights are even on after the Kim Wexler era of Mesa Verde.
Maybe even keep the lights on without a lawyer like Kim Wexler working for Mesa Verde. Let's check on our old buddy page. Let's see. So, all right. 505.
Okay.
243.
243. Okay.
84.
84.
10.
10. All right.
I'm Kevin Martell, CEO of Mesa Verde. At Mesa Verde, we're in the business of making dreams come true. Sound like something to get good at? Our Gary Call Center is opening first quarter next year. And we need folks like you to build this thing from the ground up. Keep an eye on this space for employment opportunities. Till then, happy banking and happy trading.
Yup.
I've been doing that so often lately, by the way. Yep.
Oh, me too. All right, Dragon, final thoughts on my end. I think this is just another great episode, man. I mean, Better Call Saul, just as a series, has a tendency to just keep one-upping itself as it goes along. And, I mean, this is no question probably the most suspenseful episode of the show we've ever had, just from a sheer cliffhanger, nail-biting point of view. I mean, I was just on the edge of my seat. This is easily the closest we've gotten to Breaking Bad levels of suspense in the show. And I mean, not only that, but it's a great kind of subversion of we think that Kim's going to be really broken up about it, but instead it draws Jimmy and Kim closer together in a really believable way. Everything's kind of coming together for the season, and can't wait for the finale.
And again, it's a conversation, not even like last episode was the whole, is Jimmy going to get a run? Well, obviously we know he's not, but still, it's the fact, oh God, this whole sniper tension, it's like the big thick action. But the more tense thing is the conversation, which is just, that's the mark of the show, man. It's so good at that. Mm-hmm. Tension within the mundanity. So, okay, final thoughts from me. Again, I've always said this, and I still stand by it. The tradition of episodes 7 and 9 strikes again, and I love it. I do. It had me with the subversion of giving us the something stupid montage, nod an episode early than we even expected with the whole something terrible, something unforgivable. Going to the next one. This episode to me is all about aftermath. It's Jimmy McGill making peace with the path that he chose. Basically, kind of the arc of season 5 has been very much kind of like in that direction. The last couple episodes, especially, I want to say 6 onwards, has been kind of that arc of Jimmy making these choices. Been there from the beginning, but I'm saying the whole arc of like Jimmy McGill being sanded away more and more each episode.
Mhm.
It's been spectacular. And filled with depth in the best of ways. Never has mundanity been ratcheted up so high. Tony Dalton is brilliant in this episode. It's we're crossing the threshold of Better Call Saul into Breaking Bad. It's very great, very telling. We're approaching the end of the Telltale season with the moral being there is no turning back. It's kind of the moral of this episode. Kim seems to have an aptitude for this path, but the big question that we're going to be on the edge of our seats with in the next episode, and I guess next season, is there a place for? She has an aptitude for all this in this path. She has a potential future here, but is there a place for her in a story where there seems to be only room for Jimmy and Mike's growth and destiny in the Albuquerque verse, where, as it's been said, cosmically they're the only two people who can talk about these things, are kind of intrinsically linked since the beginning. But the real question is Kim intrinsically linked in there if we've never seen her in Breaking Bad? So I think we're going to find out next episode. I'm very excited to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited and nervous, Dragon. Very nervous.
I'm very nervous. I mean, folks, you saw how we reacted to the way Bates Motel went when certain beloved characters were killed off. I mean, you can imagine if that was just us with Bates Motel. Imagine how we're going to be bawling if anything unforeseen happens to Kim Wexler.
All right, take us out, Dragon.
Remember, kids, when you get that phone call, make it count. Better Call Saul. Saul Goodman and Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, we are adjourned. Gavel, gavel. Court. Or, I'm sorry, not court.
We could totally be lawyers. We could totally be
lawyers. Totally. God, I can't believe I messed that up with the Jesus Christ, silly Tiki. All right.
I just want to hear the story.
Hey, guys.
Lalo.